Well, needless to say, here in Arlington, we are extremely excited about the playoffs of Major League Baseball coming and, of course, the World Series. And we are a city that has hosted some of the great sporting events in America. And yes, we've hosted the World Series before, the National College Football Championship, the Super Bowl of wrestling, WrestleMania, NCAA Final Four, and of course just had a very exciting announcement that the National Finals Rodeo is going to be coming in December. But I tell you, when you come to America's pastime and think about the opportunity to be having baseball playoffs and the World Series here in our community, we get extremely excited. And of course, we are in the heartland of America, right at the gateway to DFW Airport, the world's greatest airport, and the opportunity to be able to host America, to come in to see this World Series. We get excited. And of course, we hope that we're going to have fans, but there's a lot to be decided about that there. But regardless, isn't it incredible that we finally get to see playoff baseball, and we've all been looking forward to that. And we all need that mental break here, and that mental boost here in the midst of this pandemic. And yes, here in our community, our first responders, our emergency personnel, medical personnel are all very ready to be able to deal with the virus and to take care and create safe events. And of course, we have been working now all the way through the virus to ensure the time when we are able to host events, which it sure is exciting to think about that time is coming. And I'm very appreciative there of the Texas Rangers for building one of the greatest special event centers in America in Globe Life Field. And yes, we know that the World Series will be coming to the next generation of ballpark. It's truly a 21st century Major League ballpark with not only fan amenities, but incredible player amenities too. And then also, if we are able to have fans, we're looking forward to everyone taking advantage of the many amenities and sights to see here there throughout the Metroplex here in Texas, as we are also home to the largest Six Flags amusement park. We also, of course, have next door AT&T Stadium that continually have tours there and a lot going on in it. And then, of course, we have Texas Live, which is the largest entertainment complex in Texas. That is just a whole lot of fun. And then you can go next door to Fort Worth and see the Stockyards, Sundance Square, and the Museum District. And so we are very hopeful that you're going to be able to experience Arlington for yourself here as we move forward with that. So with that, I'll turn it over to back to John Blake.
Thank you, Mayor. And we're going to take questions for the mayor and for Rob. So just raise your hand and I will call on you. Let's go. The first question, let's go to Evan Grant, the Morning News.
There we go. Hello, Mayor. Hello, Rob. How are you?
Good, Evan.
I think the one question that is on the top of everybody's mind here is, in regards to fans, what are you guys planning for along with Major League Baseball in terms of capacities or thresholds, and what, Mayor, I don't know if you can address this, if there will be any kind of city ordered mandate in terms of masking and safety precautions.
Well, Evan, let's let Rob start that, because the Rangers and Major League Baseball have been working so hard on this. And Rob, would you start there?
Yes, Mayor, thank you very much. And Evan, you know, at this stage, we're still in the process of trying to work through scenarios. There are multiple fronts we're attacking this on, if you will. First and foremost, we've worked very closely with Arlington Fire Chief Don Krausen and the Arlington Fire Marshal Darren Niederhaus from public health and a public safety standpoint. And at this stage, we've really looked at different models and capacities, distances between guests. So, you know, your question about masking, I believe that's a county-wide order now in Tarrant County. So like everyone in the county, and I believe it's in Dallas County too, anybody entering the building would have to wear a mask. You know, that's a requirement. But we're looking at model scenarios now. We're having discussions with Major League Baseball. Been no final decision made, but we're working closely, as I said, with public health and safety officials here in Arlington, in addition to Major League Baseball, in terms of what the medical advice that the industry is receiving. And at this stage, we've just run a lot of different model scenarios to see what they might look like. Hopefully we'll land on a consensus here soon that will allow us to bring fans in for at least some rounds of the postseason. I will say too that we like to learn from each other. So we, this morning, myself and a few of our staff members made a trip over to AT&T Stadium. As we know, the Cowboys will play at home on Sunday against the Falcons. They will have fans in AT&T Stadium. So we went over to sort of pick the brains of Todd Martin and his team over at AT&T Stadium to see what they were doing. And the good news is here on the local level, we have great cooperation, not only among our neighbors, but here with the city, so that we felt like we were pretty much in line with what the thinking was at AT&T Stadium, which is, I think, beneficial to all of us. And we'll see how it goes this weekend for the Cowboys game. We'll learn from that and move forward. The other thing I'd point out is that, since May, I mean, we hosted 61 graduations here, for high schools. Beginning back on May 29th, we had more than 100,000 people through the building. We did that safely. We've run more than 20,000 people through the building so far for tours of Globe Life Field. So we've been very successful with those operations, but we are doing those in lockstep with the city and with public health and public safety.
Nevin, needless to say, we hope we can have fans, but we've learned throughout the COVID here that we need to be looking at what is happening and respond accordingly. And I'm sure that, we will wait to see how things are going with this virus. But they were real key. Did you hear all of the things that Rob and his staff are doing along with the city of Arlington? And I also want to mention Tarrant County Health and also the state health department there in the emergency operations of the state. We're all working in lockstep here with it. And we are extremely pleased with the fact that we have discovered that mask, social distancing, and also hygiene are working as great tools to combat this virus, because we do need to be able to go on and exist there, even though the virus is not gone there with it. So we're going to be very responsible here and as we move forward, and so that we can have a safe event. And we're still waiting to see whether or not fans can come or not.
Okay, we're going to go to Jeff Wilson, Star Telegram. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, Mayor Williams, I'm sure that if fans are allowed, there will be a better financial windfall for the city, but just having the event here, what kind of impact does that have?
Well, I want to start, when you think about the morale here, not only of the Metroplex throughout the country, it is a huge morale boost. But then also when you think about all of the different jobs that will be being performed to put on this event, even if fans are not here, there still are a whole lot of jobs that are going to be being provided there or needed here to be able to put on this event. And then in addition to that, it's real symbolic there of our country getting back on its feet here after a natural disaster in this pandemic.
Right.
And so we don't know whether fans will be allowed. And then, as you mentioned, we don't know how many, so we can't sit here and tell you what economic impact will be there on it. But it is going to be a great boost, I think, for all of us there to be able to see playoff baseball and World Series happen. And we are really ready to host this World Series once more. And we had great success in 2010 and 2011, and we are looking forward now in 2020 there to similar success.
Okay, thanks. Hey, Rob, what are the benefits for the Rangers? I'm Globe Life. It's going to get a lot of free advertising. But what about for the Rangers?
Well, from an organization standpoint, we and it starts with our ownership with Ray Davis, with Neil Liebman, we built a fantastic building. It's an opportunity for us to now begin to show it to more people, hopefully fans, but if not, the eyes of the nation, the eyes of the world will be on Arlington and Globe Life Field for the 116th World Series. So that in and of itself is a great compliment to our organization, Give great thanks to Commissioner Manfred and his team for being willing to make the commitment to us and to believe in us. But we're the newest. We believe we're certainly the best ballpark in Major League Baseball. So we are looking forward to that opportunity to show it off, and not just in the World Series. As John mentioned, we'll host the Division Series, the National League Championship Series, and the World Series. So it gives us a great opportunity for the eyes of the nation, the eyes of the world, to be upon Arlington and Globe Life Field, the home of the Rangers, and to show it off to its fullest extent. It's a fantastic building. It's built to accommodate, these types of events. We are first and foremost a baseball stadium, and that's always, every design element we put into this, certainly, from the room we're sitting in today to the field to the roof, have been put into place to ensure that we can play baseball at the highest levels on the biggest stage. So we're very excited about this opportunity.
Okay, let's go to TR Sullivan. TR.
Couple of quick procedural questions. Mr. Mayor, 50% right now is the governor has it at 50%, correct?
Yes.
I'm seeing nodded heads. Okay, the other thing, before I ask my question, is the old ballpark going to enter in this in any way, whether it's a site for taxi squads or alternate camps or anything? Is that part of it, or is that just not?
TR, I don't believe it is at this stage. I think everything moves to Globe Life Field at this point.
Rob, here's my question, my main question, or for the mayor. Obviously, this could be a great thing, but this is not quite how you wanted Globe Life Field to make its entrance onto the, is that kind of bittersweet, or you still feel good about this?
TR, right now, we've been going through one of the worst disasters, and definitely we haven't experienced anything like this since 1918. So we are just trying to be grateful for any opportunity we have right now. I mean, this has been, who would have ever thought that we wouldn't be able to have opening day in Globe Life Field and that baseball would be postponed there? Nobody did. And yet it's kind of interesting how we also had the same thing happen in 1972 when we first came to Arlington Stadium because of a strike. We were late starting the season. And then in 1994, we had a shortened season. Well, now this has changed life for America, and life for the world has been totally changed. So I think this is a time for us to be thankful for what we have and to be grateful for any opportunity. And of course, we are looking forward to better days and hopefully much more normal events. But I'll tell you, right now, this is exceeding any of my expectations from, especially when we think about 60 days ago there, in which we didn't know if we were going to be able to control the virus and how. And now we see our numbers coming down and the opportunity here. So it's a great question you just asked, and I try not to focus on the missed events that we have. I'm trying to focus on what we can do, and I can tell you that this is the most excitement I've had in really 8 or 9 months here because of the National Finals Rodeo, and then now to think about playoff baseball being here and then the World Series because this facility does set a whole new standard in Major League Baseball stadiums and also in special events. You're going to be seeing multiple events taking place here. And like I said, I'm so grateful for the job that the Rangers have done. And when you go inside that ballpark, it turns heads. And these ball players, when they come in even now, it's pretty heady to be playing in this next generation of ballpark. And then it's even going to be better whenever we can have fans in there to experience all of those fan amenities and the Texas food.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, John.
Okay, let's go to Bill Shaken, the Los Angeles Times. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you, John. Rob, a question for you. Hi. In planning this ballpark, and you talked about the grand opening, and obviously there's so many of your fans that haven't got a chance to see it this year. If there's a limited capacity sale for the playoffs and World Series, would you limit the public sale to Rangers season ticket holders? Or if people from the Dodgers and Padres fan base want to come out, would you give them a public sale as well.
Well, remember in the postseason, Bill, all the tickets are controlled by Major League Baseball. So I think that's really a question that would need to go through the commissioner's office. I mean, having, been through the World Series a few times with the clubs I've been involved with, I know there's always an allocation for the participating team. So I would expect that, if the Dodgers or the Padres are in a position, to be here for the World Series or the league championship, that they would have an opportunity for their fans to purchase tickets. But again, you'd probably need to confirm that with Major League Baseball. But if we're in that position, I would expect that, the local fans or the fans of those clubs might have an opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, let's go to David Goins of Channel 8. Go ahead, David. David, can you hear me?
All right, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, Rob, you mentioned that you've kind of run through the model scenarios for potentially hosting fans. It sounds like all the public stakeholders are working together. Just so people have a sense, is this more or less waiting for a blessing from Major League Baseball at this point? And do you have a sense, is the question of having fans, is that strictly relegated to the World Series on October 20th, or is the hope potentially to have fans as early as October 6th?
Well, we would certainly hope to have fans as soon as we can. But again, Commissioner Manfred and the commissioner's office will have to make the decision, and they're consulting with their health experts regarding player safety, fan safety. They have to weigh all of those considerations. And the commissioner is obviously tasked with doing what is in the best interest of all teams. So, from a Ranger standpoint, we would love to be in a position to host fans as soon as we can. We would have loved to have been able to host fans during the regular season, but we understand that, the health and safety protocols for our players had to supersede that. Now that, I think the upside is, and Jeff alluded to this, now that we're several months into the pandemic and we're still in the midst of it, but we know more today than we did back in March when we first shut down and weren't able to start the regular season. So I do think there's an advantage now that we know more. We're smarter today than we were 6 months ago. So hopefully, as Mayor mentioned, with masks, with social distancing, with good hygiene, and practicing all the protocols that public safety has put into place, that we can be in position to host fans for baseball games. So we're working hard on it. We're working, like I say, closely with the commissioner's office and the city of Arlington on it, with Tarrant County, with the state. And we're just hopeful that we can bring it all together at some point here during the postseason to be able to welcome fans into the building.
Okay, let's go to Ken Molestina of Channel 11. Go ahead, Ken.
Thank you very much. Mayor Williams, I realize that the question might be a little premature, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask it. I'm curious if you all have had an opportunity yet to figure out more or less what an economic impact to Arlington would be for these events, knowing that we're in the midst of COVID still.
Well, what we're doing, we can't determine that yet because we don't know how many fans could be potentially coming. But also it's kind of interesting because even when we have the attendance figures, there are always a lot of people that travel to the host city on these big events like the World Series. So there will be an impact even so, but we will be coming out with our economic impact there after we learn more about if fans will be allowed there. But there'll be a positive economic impact even if we don't have fans there with it. But we will be coming out with that, Ken, and we just don't have it right now. But we are much looking forward to us continuing to bring our numbers down on the virus so that we can have those great opportunities to be able to have major events.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll go to Chris Halleck, SI.com. Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you both for your time. And this question can be for either one of you, but who was more proactive in getting not just the postseason, but the World Series to Globe Life Field? Did the commissioner's office, come calling the Rangers, or were the Rangers knocking down the commissioner door's office?
Again, I think Commissioner Manfred, I think, realizes what we have here in Arlington, but I really would give credit to Ray Davis and Neil Liebman, our owners, and the guys that really lead our organization day to day. Mr. Davis has a great relationship with the commissioner. You know, he serves on a number of committees at the highest level of our game. And I do think that relationship certainly helped when we understood it was being contemplated that a neutral site, a World Series, or even a larger portion of the postseason could come into being. So, I would think that those conversations and then certainly the support of our staff in terms of everybody working hard and making ourselves available to Major League Baseball. Hopefully we've demonstrated to the industry that we're 100% committed. You know, we'd love the Rangers to be in the World Series this year, but whoever comes through our doors, whichever clubs are fortunate enough to make it to the championship, we're thrilled to host them here in Arlington and Globe Life Field. And like I say, I think it's really conversations at the ownership level that led to this. But we certainly want to thank Major League Baseball and Commissioner Manfred for having confidence in us to being able to deliver at the highest level of our game at the most important games and the most important times of the year for Major League Baseball here in October.
No, Rob said it very well. I do want to add something to it there too. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to the Rangers there for having the kind of ownership and team that has been managing this facility and built an incredible facility. But this was interesting. Before COVID hit, the owners had a meeting right here to see this new Globe Life Field. And most of the owners all made it, and the reviews of this ballpark were incredible coming from the owners. So they had a preview of what this facility was, and of course the commissioner, needless to say, and his staff were here too. And it was very uplifting. What was that, February, I guess, Rob, when they were here, end of January, 1st of February, that they were here, and to hear firsthand from those owners there how impressed they were with this ballpark. That really laid a lot of groundwork, because these teams that are in the playoffs and World Series are going to be coming to the premier Major League Baseball ballpark in America.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, I got time for a couple more. We'll go to Pedro Silva. Go ahead, Pedro.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, gentlemen. This question can also go for either Mr. Mayor or Rob. I know, like Rob said, we're still at an early stage, but has either the city or the Rangers evaluated the possibility of doing any baseball-related events during that week of the postseason or the World Series, as far as surrounding the stadium or any fan fest events?
You know, typically those events are coordinated through Major League Baseball. I can speak from practical experience. Typically with an all-star game where it's more a celebration of our game, you have more of those fan fest type events that lead up to the all-star game. In my experience with the World Series, since the focus is really on the field and crowning a champion, there tends to be a little less of that. I can't say that there might not be any, but those events are normally facilitated through the commissioner's office. So we've had some very preliminary discussions. I mean, it wouldn't be unusual for the commissioner's office and the Rangers to work together on some community initiatives. I don't know that it would necessarily be a fan fest, but you have to remember, until this year, the World Series is typically played on home fields, but because of the circumstances that we're in, so, you can't always plan in those other years. We do have a little bit of time this year, but my sense is, based on the timing of when some of the MLB people might be arriving, I don't think we'd go anything as large as a fan fest this year. I think the focus will strictly be on crowning a new champion here in Arlington.
Okay, last but not least, one more question. We'll go back to Evan Grant.
Rob, wanted to check a couple of facts before the question. One, on the graduations, you haven't had a crowd larger than about 5,000 still, right? That's the number you're using?
Yeah, I believe that was we limited the capacity to the lower seating bowl and to accomplish the distancing that ourselves and the districts were looking for. And that would have been from the family standpoint, Evan. So families were seated in the 100 level, and I think that capacity it's a little more than 5,000, but that was just for the 100 level to get the distancing numbers. Our students for the graduations were seated on the lower concourse level. And those, the graduating class sizes varied from literally less than 100 in a few cases to more than 900, I think, in the case of one of the high schools. So, yeah, so that's how we spaced it. But it was about a little more than 5,000 just for the 100 level of the ballpark.
Second part of that is concessions were not sold. So at that point in time, right? So if you do open the stadium for the World Series and playoffs, there would be some degree of concessions and amenity, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Our thinking at this time is that we would use our permanent concession stands and probably not use portables. I mean, it's probably getting way too deep into the weeds, but yes,
Okay.
there definitely would be concessions. We would use available facilities that we have, and we would intend to have food and beverage.
And then just the last thing, how do you reconcile the idea of bringing fans into the ballpark with what MLB is proposing for players and families in terms of a quarantine? Are there any challenges on your end to being able to keep that intact?
Well, I think that's where we have to get the distancing right. So that's where we've gotten feedback from city health officials and from Major League Baseball. So those are the scenarios, and that's why we've done multiple model runs to see how we can achieve safe distancing. But the other side of the coin is for anyone in the building, other than the participants on the field, to wear the mask, to keep the social distance, to use good hygiene. But I think it can be accomplished safely as long as we manage the social distancing and have everyone wear their masks.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeff, you got something real quick? Jeff Wilson?
Rob, this is a serious question. It may sound flippant, but who pays for the AC bill? Is Major League Baseball have to pony up for utilities, or are they handling the cost of the event, I guess?
It's a unique scenario. Typically, the World Series is hosted by the home team, so a lot of those type of expenses you identified are absorbed by the home team. We haven't gotten down to that level of detail per se in terms of the electric bill, but suffice to say that Major League Baseball understands that to host the event at a neutral site, there are some expenses that they will incur. So I can't say they'll all be borne by Major League Baseball. Some, staff time, for example, would just be absorbed probably by us. But that said, I think MLB, we've had some preliminary discussions. I think they do understand there could be some out-of-pocket expenses that they will help us to offset.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, thanks for jumping on, and